day is ending in Germany.
Very nice. Good. So I'm just going to go to cycles.foundation here and show everybody from the beginning how we get to the cycles analyzer. So first I'm going to log in. And that takes me to the membership area. If I wasn't in the membership area, this drop-down menu here, and I can go to the members area.
Yeah, just to mention before you start the analyzer, there's also this ticket section. So
yes, so we actually have a you can submit support tickets. Thanks for that reminder.
Yeah,
right here from the membership drop-down. So if you do have an issue that you want to bring to our attention, then you can go here and submit a request.
That's new to get better support out. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. And then once you're done, is there an easy way to get back, or you just log out, or?
I think you use the back button from your browser window. Yeah.
I went home. Okay. But then, so I'm going to go, I'm still logged in. I'll go back to the membership area.
Yeah.
And of course, there's Cycles Library, which takes you to a sub-site. Cycles Analyzer, which also takes you to a sub-site, app.cycles.foundation. So here we are. If you want to get back to the foundation members area, there's a link down here at the bottom left that'll take you back. But it looks like it actually kept the Cycles Analyzer window open.
Okay, I will check that.
No problem. All right, so here we are at the dashboard. There's the Market Pulse section with commodities, indices, crypto, some currency pairs, and some sentiment indicators. And you can also access the same information here at Market Pulse. Just click through commodities, index, crypto, same thing. Either way, wherever you want to begin, let's say we're going to start with gold. What I usually do is I click here on the scan to scan.
Yeah.
So here we are looking at gold, and the Bartels indicator is my favorite test of statistical significance. And I tend to look for the cycles that have the strongest Bartels that are at least about maybe 20% apart. So we've got a 36 and a 38 here. I would probably take the 36 myself because it's got a little stronger Bartels. And I probably wouldn't take the 38 because it's just too close to the 36. I think it makes it a little too muddy. But you can kind of see what it does as they come in and out of phase, right? So it's interesting. It just kind of compresses when they're out of phase, and then when they're in phase, you get this maximum amplitude here.
Yeah, and you see, I think in regards to predicting turning points at the current point in time, I think it doesn't really matter because the turning points on the time scale are quite similar. It doesn't matter if you have both activated or just one of it. So let's maybe check it.
Yeah. So I start with 36, then there's a longer cycle, 181. So I definitely pull in that one. And I can zoom out a little bit and kind of show a bigger picture. Could try this 20 or this 58. Those could both be interesting. Even this 126, maybe a little longer cycle like the 58.
But here again, I think you see in regards to the major turning points, we should expect it's not a huge difference here.
Right. So you still see the major turning points are kind of being driven by the longer term cycle, 181-day cycle. Also the cycle with the biggest amplitude, right? 30.14, 6 times the size of the other cycles. And shorter term cycles, shorter length cycles have smaller amplitudes typically. I like what you've done here, Lars, of including the strength indicator. I actually hadn't done that before. So that's essentially something like amplitude divided by length.
Yes, exactly. So it's the amplitude change per bar or per day in this case, if we have daily bars here. So it shows you which cycle influences the amount of change per day, which is driven by the amplitude change per day. And even a smaller cycle then could have more impact on the daily change than a longer amplitude cycle, which has a huge length. So it's interesting to have this it's a relative value looking this way. So maybe after we have sorted via Bartels, it makes also sense to sort it now by strength to see what the sort would show us in regards just looking at the strength score here. So, and just going through it. So besides these shorter cycles, which I would not really take care of, is just the 44 cycle interesting, but this cycle has a low Bartels value. So even there, and the other ones are too small. So a length of 15 or 18, I would not include because they are anyhow too small in regards to get any value of it for a forecasting perspective.
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting. You might find looking at strength might turn up some interesting cycles that you want to include in your analysis. But I think the Bartels is, to me, still kind of the core statistical test of the foundation. And it's something, that I'm personally most comfortable with, although I'm interested in studying the strength indicator a little bit more because I think it's a very interesting idea.
It's a checkpoint. No, it's
yeah. So according to this analysis, I would say that gold is looking bearish from a pure cycles analysis.
Yeah.
And then we'll take a snapshot of it just to put it in our archives. And then we can come back and look at them later and also look at them next week.
Yeah.
See how we did.
Think, just to also explain, the snapshot has two features which you can use. You can save the one-time picture so that you can share, for example, this analysis with colleagues, friends, social media. So you are free to share this picture now, which is available for you at this link. And if you go back to the cycle scanner later, you can reopen this as a kind of workbook. So you can, when new data comes in, you can see if new data follows your forecast or not. So 1 or 2 weeks in the future.
Yes, great. So let's go back to the, actually, I think I'll go to the market pulse again, just sort of the easiest place I find, just kind of start with the assets that are already available. We are going to be expanding the assets that are readily available for analysis through our partners at Intrinio, who have given us access to data, and we're working on getting that set up, and we'll have quite an expanded coverage of data sets to be able to offer right on the website here. So let's just take a look at silver.
Yeah.
Again, kind of go by Bartels, similar cycles, mid 30s, right? Mid upper 30s. Go with the 37. That's a really strong cycle. It's got the strongest Bartels. It's got one of the strongest strengths too at 3.26. So clearly a strong cycle there at 37. That cycle is showing still an uptrend. It's captured that pretty well, I would say. What other cycles are in here? I tend to like the longer cycles, like 187. This 104 looks pretty interesting too. especially with the little higher strength, 2.72. That's interesting.
Yeah.
See how it looks without the 187. So the 187 is clearly uptrending a little while longer out to July, right? Without it sort of topping next week.
Yeah. But so I mean, this makes it interesting if you look at gold and silver, for example, also in combination, because I mean, these commodities are a little bit in sync anyhow in regards to the major markets. So could look like that the next 1 or 2 weeks until what we see here, beginning of July, silver still projecting a little upturn where gold already showed the top. So maybe we have a mixed situation for the next months, but then after July, I think both forecasts show a bearish outlook for both metals. So
yep, agreed. And we can do the same thing, take the snapshot. Even if we just close it here, it's nice to go. You can go to settings, go to my workbooks, and you can see, oh, nice, you even organized it into tickers.
Yeah.
So here's our latest forecast for silver. Still in an uptrend clearly on the cycles. And for gold, the most recent analysis we did was this one. I did some earlier analyses that may be slightly different, and some out of sample analyses, and then these I'm done with. I can just delete them. So let's go back and open workbook for this. So this just actually takes you back to the cycle scanner. And does it stop the sample period at the day that you took the snapshot, or wherever it was?
Yeah. So the in-sample period is kept fixed as you defined it once you saved it. And if new data comes in, you will see it as light blue out-of-sample data rushing in. So you compare the out-of-sample data to your forecast you did based on the in-sample.
Yep. So we've got some conflict between gold and silver, with silver kind of being up, gold being down, into early July, basically end of June, right? And then both of them being down together. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Moving on from commodities, take a look at the
index.
Few major indices. I always like to look at the S&P 500. So 51-day cycle, it's very strong. And 172-day cycle, 55 is pretty strong too. It's kind of a toss-up between the 51 and 55 here, in my opinion.
What's also may be interesting to mention, I mean, if you have observed these cycles during the last weeks, these cycle of the lengths of 172 and 55, they appear for weeks now on the top of the list. So it's interesting to see that they are quite prominent on the list of active cycles, and not only today, also before. This is also a good indication if these cycles stay kind of on top of the list for days or even weeks. Yeah, and maybe we can also apply the visual chart, which is also there at the bottom of this window, because one thing is you can look at the table view, which we are doing here, and the same data is also visualized here at the bottom. So at least for if you are more a kind of visual guy and the table guy, you see the same information here shown in this kind of spectrum analysis, which the other data then shown if you hover over the peaks here. So what you show, for example, and the color indication is the Bartels scale. So if you see green arrows here, it indicates it has a high Bartels value.
Bartels.
So you can here also quickly see from a visual perspective all three values. So you see this one with 172, a green a green sign. And then the other two ones exactly are there with the 55 and 51. So therefore, it's kind of cross-checking what the table showed you, then having a cross-confirmation from the spectrum chart. At least it's the same data, just a different kind of visualization.
Yep. Very nice. And this vertical axis here is amplitude, right?
Yes, it's amplitude versus cycle length. And it shows you so it's a full spectrum scan here. So the analyzer scans for all cycles between a length of 0 and 400. So and it cross-checks every possible cycle length, and then the Fourier algorithm checks which amplitude is active for this given cycle length. And then when you see a peak, this is what we call then the real active cycle, which is then shown on the list. So
I think it'd be interesting to show strength on the vertical axis here.
Yeah, we could also think about different visualizations here.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And then what are these controls over here? So this is like a zoom and a pan.
Yeah, you can move the chart. So with first of all, you need to activate which feature you want to use. Currently, the moving is activated. So if you now press the left button on your mouse while you know you have deactivated it. If you deactivated it. And now if you click the left mouse, yeah, you can move it. Just move it around as you would do with a kind of picture.
Right.
If you want to zoom in, you need to click on the zoom, and now you can select the area.
So if I want to get a little more granularity here on these shorter cycles.
Yeah. And if you now want to move, press the move feature again, and then you can move it whatever you like to see in the center.
Then how do you undo zoom?
There should be this kind of undo or reset button. If we want one to the right, yeah, this one. Yeah, it just will reset.
Got it. And you can save this chart or this data?
You can save the picture, yeah. So if you click it, it will just save the visual spectrum. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And I just put it into a PNG file. Yep. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And maybe just also to mention, as we're just going through the basic topics, I mean, you could also export the data, no? So if you want to dive into the composite on your own with your own then additional analysis, you can also export the data set if you like.
Yep. Up here.
Yeah.
Yep. So we can export this. And it just downloads it as a CSV file, which if I try to share that, I'm going to have to make some adjustments in Webinar Jam. So we can leave that aside for the moment. All right, so we're back on gold here. I do think, Lars, sometimes it's easy to lose track what data series you're analyzing. It actually doesn't say anywhere on the screen here what we're analyzing. Over here, actually, it does. So this is the S&P 500.
The name should be shown.
To show, the name and the cycles, even in the chart. I think we've got it over here. You're showing the cycles that we've selected, right? But show the name and the cycles, and that would be great. All right, so the market has some cycles wind at its back, I would say. Agreed?
Yes, it has. So moving up into the summer, and then it will be interesting around summer to have a next checkpoint.
Yes. Very good. All right. I'm personally interested in Bitcoin, so take a look at that. Got some very strong, this 80-day cycle is one I keep a close eye on. And then this 18-day cycle. What else? maybe 47.
Yeah, so you can try the different 40 cycles. Maybe there's also the 44.
Mm-hmm. 47 has a higher Bartels and a higher strength.
You're right.
So kind of favor it over the, if both those are lower, I'm going to tend to use the higher strength.
You're right.
If there are approximate cycles.
If just deactivate and activate again to see how the composite will change. Just so not much change, right? So it's because I was just looking.
Yeah,
it's half
and the 80-day cycle is really driving this, right? With the strength of 7 and Bartels of 96. So
it's just a slight adjustment. So
yeah.
And maybe what do we have? The 61. At least it's 61.
Mm-hmm. It's got good strength. Good look at that.
But also kind of similar picture. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we've got some headwinds in Bitcoin for at least until the middle of June. I don't know about you. I oftentimes think of cycles like the wind. I think of them as like headwinds or tailwinds. And I use other indicators besides just cycles, but I like to know which way the wind is blowing. That's kind of how I view cycles.
Yeah, it makes sense. So, I mean, you should then, anyhow, you should never use these kind of basic cycle analysis for trading. So you need to have some additional cross-check indicators to fine-tune then entry and exits. But exactly, so the major direction is really helpful to have the cycles, as you mentioned, kind of wind direction in mind, and then check with your individual analysis when the right point to have the wind in your back. So
yes, and I prefer cycle uptrends. I believe that cycle bottoms are more predictive than cycle tops, and I tend to use the cycle bottoms more myself than the cycle tops. I certainly want to know when the cycle tops are, but overall, I don't know if you found something similar. But I found cycle bottoms to be a little more reliable than cycle tops.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure, but I think this might also be related to that the markets have a major fundamental uptrend for years. So I think we find the points where kind of
right. So sort of bias against downtrends. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
That probably explains it.
Yeah.
Great. Nice. All right, I'm going to take a picture of this and save it as a workbook.
Yeah.
And then we'll see if there's one more that we'd like to look at. I think sentiment is interesting, especially the VIX.
Yeah. And I use the VIX often as cross correlation to the major market like the S&P. So if the VIX and the S&P cycles don't speak the same language, I don't trust any forecast. So for me, it's important that interesting to see what here will come out, that if both speak the same language or give you the same direction of the wind, then this is more reliable.
So not a lot of long-term cycles in the VIX, especially with good strength of Bartels. Maybe this 280-day cycle looks a little skeptical to me. And sentiment does tend to be a little shorter term phenomena, I would say. So I'm surprised that there's not really long-term cycles in the VIX. But we've got the wind. An uptrend in the VIX could mean a downtrend in stocks, right? So the VIX has some tailwinds here, I would say.
At least for the next week. For the next week. And then if you scroll more to the future, I think we have this then kind of downtrend in the VIX. So then it follows the same as we have this kind of uptrend then based on the VIX, so that markets should move up starting June, which I think then is in sync with the other analysis, at least until maybe, if you scroll more to the right, maybe until August or September, right? Yeah, exactly. So and that's the interesting point as we saw on the S&P 500 report. So expecting from June to August, we have a strong up indication.
Right, and a downtrend in the VIX. So let's just take this snapshot. We'll close that, go back to our workbooks, revisit the, I thought I took a snapshot of the S&P 500, but maybe I didn't.
Didn't we?
So
maybe it was down on the bottom, but I think we didn't took the screenshot.
We can just go back. So we have the 51 and the 172. It's 55, a little stronger. Either one, really. A little shorter term here. But definitely tailwinds in the stock market through early July, with the VIX trending down into August after early June. So maybe we'll see a week of chop here this coming week, and then hopefully some nice gains in June.
Yeah, this is what the sites say right now. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Lars, I think that was a great session for today. I think we should wrap it up. Maybe next week we could do a little more review here, but also do some custom data sets to demonstrate that part of the application.
Sure, happy to do.
Outstanding. All right. Well, thank you very much. And if you would post this for Foundation members, that would be excellent.
Yeah, we will. So let's revisit that next week.
Thank you so much, Lars.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.